What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm gonna talk some gaming today, people. Today we're going to be going over the Midterm Destruction set analysis. We're going to be going over every single card, so I didn't really do this on the announcement of all the new cards for the format. My feelings for the format has changed drastically. I'm very hyped about this new format and been having a lot of fun playtesting and stuff. So I want to go over each and every individual card, each individual deck, the best cards from the individual decks, and what I think about them in general. But without further ado, we're going to jump right into this. So first things first, we're going to go over the Neospatian cards. And straight out of Neospace is the perfect place to start with this because it is the bread and butter of the entire thing we're doing with this deck. Straight out of Neospace turns your Elemental Hero Neos here into a Cyber Dragon by controlling no monsters on the field. Not only are you able to Cyber Dragon him from your hand, you can also get him back during the end phase that you shuffle back one of your Neos fusions. So they go back and they kind of have a Gladiator Beast-esque effect to go ahead and grab this Neos right back to the field, which is really good. You get two of the downsides of this entire deck fixed right away. Not only that, it doesn't take away your normal summon for the turn, which is incredible. So you can play this in any deck you want. It is a good generic skill to have. So it's even good in Monarch strategies. I have a Monarch list coming out this Friday, so check out that list when it comes out. And then it just has zero downsides outside of not being able to special summon outside of like Elemental Hero Neos and Neospatian stuff. So it's extremely good. The other skill we get, and keep this in mind for all the skills we go over today, every deck I think has one good skill and one bad skill. So we're going to go over our bad skill now, which is Wise Man Neos. I'm sure there will be some sort of decks out there and players out there that want to play this card. It's just me personally, I don't think it's that great. So I'm going to jump right into what it says. And Wise Man Neos just reads as follows. At the start, I'll flip it over. Elemental Hero Neos and Fusioning Monsters mention Neos as material gain the following effect. Before damage calculation, if this card battles an opposed monster, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to half that opponent's monster's original attack. So it's neat. It's like, okay, I guess. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than like if you're able to cheat out your Neo somehow, you can like do burn damage to your opponent. I think that can make for a neat deck. I just don't see where I would ever want to play this skill over this skill unless like this skill gets hit on the limited list or something like that, which could happen. I mean, we've seen stuff like that happen before. The reprints from this set is just Galaxy Cyclone. We're just going to go over reprints first before anything else. Galaxy Cyclone's cool. I mean, we get it in every single GX set since release. So, I mean, nice. Elemental Hero Neos is going to be our one of. It's our bread and butter because of the skill. Neospatian Grand Mole is going to be probably the second most detrimental card in this set. Being able to bounce any card on the field to the hand, it's going to be very, very strong, especially with Arcana of the Fool being in the format, not being able to be destroyed by battle, and other powerful cards such as like Cyber Angels or Big Boss Monsters, or just problematic cards in general, cards that aren't even problematic but on the field and you want to get around them really easily. Grand Mole's here to just clean them up. He's a staple. We're going to be seeing a lot of him in multiple decks and side decks and stuff like that, so he's definitely the card I want to go over second here. Honestly, we should have gone over him first, but it just is fitting to go over Neos first. Prisma is seeing a lot of love right now, being that it's our best Elemental Hero we have in Speed Duels, being that we can actually heroism out to the field, be able to utilize that with the new Dyna base card, or Dyna tank card. Honestly, I can never remember which one's which. And then what you're able to do there is you're able to actually fusion summon into the Brave Neos after making him into a Neos, and then once you do that, you're able to grab your next later on. Card Trooper is going to be the Force Monster card in this deck that I think is worth playing. He's more utilizable right now than I think Dandelion is. Dandelion's only good in like Token Sunday decks and decks that can really utilize the tokens. But Card Trooper can be used in like any deck you really need to mill out your deck for and get graveyard effects for. So I felt like Card Trooper is just really fitting. Also, he fits in Rat Box, and I love Rat Box, so he's going to be sitting right here at number 4. Obviously, number 5 is also a Rat Box target, and is very good in this format as well. But I think Dandelion's insane. I think Card Trooper's insane. Both these cards are just phenomenal to have as Beatles, and it's like shocking that we got them and even got them announced early. So like I'm just really happy to see both these cards in Speed Duels in general. Alias is another Gemini monster. Surprisingly, we didn't get Gemini Spark. Maybe it's too good for Speed Duels, maybe it's not. I mean, they think Offerings to the Doomed is good, so might as well not bring a Spark. But having these Gemini monsters is really good, especially with other cards that we get in this format. And it's just nice to have the 1900 beater for later in case we absolutely need it. Aqua Dolphins are the second best Neospatian that we got, being that it can hand rip a card from hand. Air Hummingbird's good as well. Dark Panther and it's okay, and then Glow Moss is unplayable. We didn't get Flare Scarab for some reason. I guess Konami doesn't like that card, but these are the four that we did get, and I think they're all fine. Obviously, Aqua Dolphin I think is better, but these three are probably kind of on the same par, especially because their fusions aren't even that great either. And then Cross Porter's not even worth talking about, in my opinion. For the spell cards, the best spell we got released was the Miracle Fusion. This card should have came out in Midterm Paradox. So thank God we finally got it in Midterm Destruction. It is insane. I played against the Nova Master deck that utilizing this card. The deck is so much stronger now with having Miracle Fusion and access with it. Blazeman mixing with Prisma in this format, and Neos Alias as well. The deck itself is just insane, and I'm really happy that they were able to give this to us. Like, it's a long overdue for it. Overall, I think it's really good in this deck because you're able to get back your Elemental Hero Neos, but Birthright's also in the format, so it's like, pick your poison, I guess. EN Shuffle, I think, is like a more modernized card that can actually see some play. I haven't tested it personally myself, but this card is absolutely incredible. The Neo Space Field spell, I think, goes right here. I mean, there's going to be people that want to play Wise Man Neos, so they're going to want the Neo Space here. That way they're not losing their monster. Not only that, playing this in conjunction with the straight out Neo Space just gives you a 3,000 attack point monster every single turn, because I think this also gives Elemental Hero Neos and all fusion monsters that is specifically listed gain 500 attack, right? So you get this 3,000 attack point Cyber Dragon with this card. So we're going to be seeing some sort of play with that. Generation Next, another modernized card that has a quick effect to actually be able to get out your Elemental Heroes, your Karibos, or your Neospatial monsters from your deck. It's really cool. I mean, again, it's not going to be one of those things we're going to be seeing a lot of, but I definitely know that people are going to want to play around with it because, like, you got the OG heroes in it. Why would you not want to play it? Convert Contact is going to be here as hitting one of the least used spell cards. This card has some good synergy with Neospatians. I think I played it in my modern Neospatian deck, but I don't think that it's going to be seeing too much play in this. And the reason why is because we got a skill that gives us Pot of Greed. We'll go over that when we get to it. But I just would much rather play that than Convert Contact, I think. And then Contact Gate has never been good even since release. There's just so much you have to go to use it, and it's just really slow, so you're probably never going to want to use this. The best Neospatian trap, though, is going to be Next, and the reason why I'm putting this over Hero Blast, even though I think Hero Blast is better than Next, is because Next is actually searchable off of the Brave Neos, and the main combo that I described earlier is based around getting Brave Neos out and then destroying a card by battle and then grabbing the Next to hand. So that is why I wanted to put this above the Hero Blast, but Hero Blast is obviously insane. Being able to recycle your Cyber Dragon with the skill and then being able to pop a card on the field with 2,500 or less attack is insane. It's one of our best removal traps in the game. I'm really happy that we got this, and I'm very excited to see how many people actually abuse this card. And then Limit Reverse is here as well. This is just a generic haunted, or call it the haunted, for 1,000 or less attack point monsters. We're going to be seeing some sort of use for this, especially because it's like the upgraded burst rate, I guess. And it works really well with, like, you know, Dandelion and Card Trooper and your Neospatians. So we'll be seeing some sort of abuse with this. It's just not being abused right this second. The extra deck monsters are very obvious. They're going to be the Aqua Neos, Glow Neos, Dark Neos. Grand Neos is our probably our best one, I think. Storm Neos, and then Brave Neos. These three here are probably going to be the ones we see the most play of. We're never going to see this card get played ever. It's just nice to see that they finally updated it from Edgeman to Blade Edge. But again, I think Grand Neos is going to be our best fusion monster, being that you can actually partner it with the best Neospatian monster. That's going to be a generic card in a lot of different decks this format, so we will be seeing him be utilized. Again, this card is the main combo piece for the Prisma combo, so again, we'll be seeing a lot of him too. I really like this card. Not only that, I forgot to mention, this is a super poly target if you're playing the Neos deck against any warrior deck like the Red Eyes deck, or if you're playing a warrior deck against the Neos deck. So being able to, like, tune into Elemental Hero Brave Neos with the Super Poly is just going to be too strong this format. So you're going to be seeing a lot of use of this guy. And then I think Storm Neos is actually insane, being that has like a board wipe effect, as when it returns the extra deck, shuffle all cards on the field into the deck. Also, you have a once per turn effect saying destroy all spell and trap cards on the field. This card here is going to be like have decks built around it. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I just think that personally, out of the other two cards I just mentioned, it's going to be seeing less use, but it's going to be seeing way more use than I think these three right here. Moving on to the dinosaur deck of the format, this is like the deck I'm most excited for. Dinos is one of my favorite Speed Duel decks, even though it's like one of my least favorite decks in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Funny enough, I hate Misk. Have you read that card? But this deck I think has a lot of potential with the weird gems that they have thrown into this deck. So we're going to be going over those weird gems as we talk about it a little bit. Again, we're going to start with our skills. Both the skills, in my opinion, are unplayable. You're going to want to be playing Dino DNA if you want to play the modernized like Dino deck. Again, they're like not unplayable, like I said, but they're bad. You know, they're not the greatest skills. They're probably the worst character skills of the box. We'll start with Dino Brain Immunity. This battle position of dinosaur monsters cannot be changed by trap cards or effects. Cool, they can't get zero gravity or cannot yet. Level 7 or higher dinosaur monsters on the field cannot be targeted by spell cards or effects. I mean, that's cool. We turn our level 7 or higher dinos into towers. Like, how are we really getting that out outside a big evolution pill? I mean, there's weird niche scenarios where this can come up, but it's not going to be one of those skills that we're like, oh yeah, I'm building my deck around this. Food Chain is more of the deck that, like, the skill you want to play for playing the sealed format, and you want to play dinos. Destroy one dinosaur or reptile monster you control, then special summon a dinosaur monster with a level 1 higher from your hand or deck. It's so weird that it has to be 1 higher, and also the destroy one dinosaur thing is like, whoa, that could be really strong because we got, like, Baby Ceratosaurus, and I think, Archaeosaurus, however you say this guy. I think that they both have destruction effects, but they have destruction effects when destroyed by card effects, and skills are no longer considered card effects. So that part of the effect doesn't even matter. And then you contribute 1 dinosaur monster by banishing 2 dinosaur or reptile monster from your graveyard instead of attributing it. Like, yeah, again, that's cool. It would have been so cool, like, if this was the skill for this, and then you put the second part of the skill as level 7 or higher dinosaur monsters cannot be targeted by spell cards or effects. Like, that would have been really good together instead of it just being like, hey, you get the special summon, and yeah. Anyway, I digress. And this is the deck that I figured was going to get the most reprints, but funny enough, we only got 4. So these are the 4 that we got. Nothing special to talk about there. Baby Ceratosaurus is our best monster card that we got out of all of it, being that when it's destroyed by a card effect, you can actually special summon a level 4 or lower dinosaur monster from your deck. We don't really have the best level 4 or lower dinosaur monsters from the deck, but the dinosaur monsters we have are actually integral to what we can do with this card. So we'll go over that here in a second. Dynabase is the card I brought up earlier with the hero stuff. This is the card that lets you special summon itself when your life points are lower than your opponent's. And then not only that, it's used as poly while it's on the field. So you can poly your Prisma with Warrior, or I guess in this case it's the effect monster. My bad, I think I was like saying Warrior the entire time. It's just an effect monster that you have can fuse with. So this card can fuse with the Prisma and then bring out your Brave Neos fusion. So that in itself makes it probably the second best card for us to be talking about out of this deck. Sabersaurus is going to be the usual thing you go into as the Babysaurus. If you guys saw my recent dinosaur deck, you see that I am abusing Survival's End. And a lot of people are definitely moving towards that wave. I think this is probably the best trap. Not the best trap, but one of the best traps we got in the entire box. And then like it being able to like destroy the Babysaurus float into any of your dinos is like incredible. Any of your level 4 dinos. Is incredible, and Sabersaurus is the one you're usually going into. Tyranno Infinity is a build-around card that a lot of people are very interested in this format, so I wanted to put it at least at number 4 in the Dino list. This card is a modern card, so obviously it's good. It's just not doing anything right this second. It adds an evolution pill, so the evolution pill deck is going to be what we base our deck around with this. It doesn't have the destruction effect, like I said, I don't think. No, it's a normal summoner set effect. So that's my bad on that one. But yeah, you just normal summoner set it, and then you just search big evolution pill. It's really good. Black and Velociraptor, whatever you want to call it. This card I think makes it to this spot on the list because of its like Steamroid ability, being able to turn into a 2200 attack point monster under Jurassic World or Jurassic World skill. It becomes a 2500 attack point monster. That's enough to trade with a Neos right now, so it's not that bad in that regard. Destroyosaurus is going to be a build-around card as well, being based around Jurassic World and Volcanic Eruption. I can see that being like a fun little deck somebody like toys around with and has fun playing. I just don't see it being any good personally. And then we got our level 7 Dino monsters. Both of these aren't really that great, or level 7 or higher Dinosaur monsters. Both of these cards aren't really that great. You're really going to be trying to cheat them out with the big evolution pill or the double evolution pill that already exists, the Rex Raptor skill. Fossil Dig here will get us any of our level 6 or lower dinosaur monsters. That's every dinosaur in the game except for like the Jurac dinos, these dinos, and like Black Tyranno and uh, the Super Ancient Dino Beast, I think is what it's called. And then, of course, our traps, it's like Canadia being the best one. Obviously, this card is going to be so good. I can honestly see it getting hit to 3 on the next Speed Duel Limited list, especially with Book of Moon still sitting at 3. They're not, Konami themselves is not going to want us to be able to play 6 copies of Book of Moon, you know what I mean? So they're going to want to be like, here's your decision. Do you get the trap card Book of Moon that can become a monster that's unaffected by the Grand Mall, or do you want to have the regular Book of Moon? And people are going to pivot to this because the regular Book of Moon, or they're going to keep a list of regular Book of Moon and forget about this because the regular Book of Moon gets around Jinzo. So that's going to be the big thing there. Survival's End here is going to be super integral to this format. Like I said, I think it's one of the craziest trap cards we got in the box. Not only is it like not once per turn, but you destroy all normal monsters on the field, including your opponents. And in this format with Neos being released, that's really good. And then like Swamp Mirror being the weird one I ran into, is that's a normal monster. So you pop the Swamp Mirror and going for that. That in itself is really strong. And then being able to not only do that and special summon your dinosaur monsters, but then pop the, say, Baby Sarasaurus, and then pop a card your opponent controls, and then float from the Baby Sarasaurus. It's just really strong. And in the Duel Links deck, everybody that played this card played it at 3, but only ever played one Baby Sarasaurus. I can see in Speed Duels that's doing a different story here, but for right now in my testing, I'm only testing it with a 1 of. Again, we're going to be going over the Survival Instinct because it's a build-around card, Tyranno Affinities in the format, and this kind of boosts it up even more. Talking about Volcanic Eruption like we did earlier, it just pairs with Jurassic World and the Destroyersaurus. And then we got Typhoon as our last little generic trap card removal. It's cool, but like we got MST, we haven't gone over it yet, but we got MST in this box, so like that's crazy. Our extra deck is Dynatank. This card is also a build-around card, and I think it's insane. You use it with the Dynabase card here and with any of your dinosaur monsters, and then it just summons to the field, gains the attack of the dinosaur monster you use, and then has a protection effect that says when a card or effect is activated that targets this one card on the field, you can quick effect and then target one other card on the field that would be an appropriate target, and then that becomes a new target. So it's like a Karen Gorgon kinda, and I really like that. If you don't know what Karen Gorgon is, it's an Xyz monster. If you don't know what Xyz monster is, you won't get the reference. And then it has this additional effect that if this card in its owner possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, so by battle or card effect, you can special summon a dinosaur monster from your graveyard. So it actually helps you get your ultimate Tyranno from your graveyard if you absolutely need to. So the effect is really just using Dynabase, fuse into Ultimate Tyranno, and then go into the Dynatank. You can also just use Dynabase and then play it with Sabersaurus and stuff like that with the Survival's End decks that's going to start running around. And you can honestly just use Dynatank as like an additional boss monster for that deck. It could be really cool. The only downside about this card that I think is going to probably come up is the simple fact that it is a machine and not a dinosaur. But we'll get into that when that happens. Next, we're going to talk about, honestly, the worst deck of the box. This deck is really good with the one skill we got, and then the rest of it's garbage, I think, outside of like 3 specific cards. And we're just going to jump into that. Destructive Fate is going to be the best generic skill of the format now, being that you can choose to coin toss for your monsters and spell effects once per turn for the first 3 turns of the game. It's really good. It works really good with like Cup of Ace coming to the format. Obviously, this is the best card outside of like Divine Wrath that got released. It's just Pot of Greed in your deck by paying half your life points once per turn. It's so good. And you can use this card with other cards that do coin flip effects. I think people are like talking about Time Wizard being a Regeki right now, or Twin Barrel Dragon coming to the field and just popping any card on the field. And you're not leaving yourself with a 500 attack point monster face up on the field. Like, there's going to be a lot of different ways that people are going to want to play this deck. I think it also makes like specific cards more popular again, like the burn cards. Submarine Roid and Roids in general are going to be like really good as long as this card's running around. It is good, don't get me wrong. I think it is one of the, if not the best skill released in this box, but I think that it has a lot of outs in the current format to it. Magician's Scale sucks, never use it unless you are a fan of it and you like it. Don't listen to Toxin. I mean, I've been wrong on certain things before. I just don't think that this is going to be the skill that we want to play. Number 1, it's a once per duel skill. Number 2, it says tribute an Arcana Force monster and add a normal spell from your deck to your hand. There's not a lot of normal spells that we're really trying to add to our hand in this current format. Nothing really like rings a bell outside of like the new Cup of Ace. Again, there could be something. I'm probably like completely overlooking like a powerful spell card we actually have that I just we can now just search for free now. But, like, I don't see it really coming up. I don't see it being, like, a meta-relevant deck. It's going to be jank at most, maybe tier 3 at best. The monster lineup from best to worst is going to be Arcana Force 0 the Fool. I think this card's incredible because it has an ability where it can't be destroyed by battle. All you do is set it to face down on the field. Once it gets flipped up, you don't have to worry about it. This card cannot be changed to defense position. It's already in defense position at that point, so you never have to worry about that. He just is a card that can't be destroyed by battle. The Light Ruler is the best boss monster in the deck. This card is absolutely incredible. Honestly, I was trying to decide if I wanted to put the Fool over this, but I think the Fool is more generic than this, so I wanted to throw the Fool in. And this card has like a ability kind of like Prisma, Plasma Vice, whatever the heck the Destiny Hero card is, that says when this card destroys, that just says you special summon it by attributing 3 cards. It has a coin flip effects. The heads is when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can target 1 card in your graveyard and add that target to your hand. The tails effect is better, saying during either player's turn when a spell card or monster effect that targets this card is activated, this card loses exactly 1,000 attack and you negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. With 4,000 attack points, the first like 2 times that this resolves is actually going to be like really good, because again, it's a negate. You're wasting one of your opponent's cards and destroying it on top of that. So it's really strong in that regard. I think it's just a really good card in general. The World is going to be the third card that we talk about here. I think the World has some weird niche effects. The turn skip effect is obviously insane. My buddy Joey, he was just playing this deck at locals, and out of 5 rounds, he only won 1 round, but that 1 round he won, his opponent didn't get a turn both of their games that they played. So the World has its weird niche decks that it can actually cheese out the wins for, but I don't think it's going to be like the best deck of the format, or you're going to be seeing a lot of people sitting there skipping your turns. It is going to have its like niche moments where it comes out and cheeses you out of a game or a match, and that's about what all you're going to see out of it. Talking about like the rest of these guys, I think the Chariot's probably your like better one outside of like your boss monsters and the Fool. Chariot is like a Goyo Guardian if you get heads, and Tails if your opponent gains control of this card, like whatever. The fact that you get to like special summon any monster it destroys by battle is just really good. Next, I want to talk about Temperance. The only reason I'm talking about Temperance is literally because it's Karibo. That makes I think it better than everything, and that says a lot about this deck in general. If I'm looking at a card and being like, wow, that's a Karibo, I guess that's the 5th best card, like 5th best monster, not 5th best card, but Lovers, it becomes the 2nd best card, or not the 2nd best card, the next best card on this list, just because it can be used as a 2 tribute for the World. Like, that's about it. This card gives your monsters attack points, so he goes above the rest. Empress allows you to special summon any of your cards out, so being able to cheat cards out is really nice. The Magician is like an ability that gets you to double your attack points when you activate spell cards. Again, you have to get heads with it, and the way you're doing that is paying half your life points in the first place, and it just does not seem that good. And the only way you're really summoning out the Moon in this format is literally if you are using the Empress or the Lovers. Like, the Moon is not really the card that you're really going to be playing. I could be wrong. This could literally be one of the best ways to play Arcana Force. I just don't see it in the current format doing anything. Cup of Ace is our best spell card, and like I said before, it works generically with Destructive Fate. It's also just, you know, good no matter what. If you don't even play Destructive Fate, just the ability to maybe get a Pot of Greed is insane, and if you don't get the Pot of Greed, you're probably killing that turn, like whatever. Arcana Reading is like insane for what the deck is, being that, again, if you're playing Destructive Fate, you get to search any of your cards in your deck, or if not, you get to flip a coin and then search any of your cards. But if you control Light Barrier, you just get to use that effect. So that's just really good in itself. Light Barrier is the field spell for the deck and the 3rd best spell card that we got brand new, saying during your standby phase, toss a coin. If the result's tail falling, the effects are negated, but the effect it has is when you summon an Arcana Force monster, choose which effect to apply without tossing a coin. If an Arcana Force monster destroys a monster by battle, you gain life points equal to destroy monster's original attack. These skills are fine, these effects are fine, but I don't think that's going to be enough to push the deck into a tier competitive deck. I'm really sorry if you are an Arcana like fan and you really want to play this deck. It's going to be jank, it's going to be rogue, and if you do find like an interesting thing and start topping events with that, you're going to see me make deck profiles about it. And then like if they're going to see me make my own changes, and I'm going to be like, all right, yeah, I'm wrong, and I've admitted I was wrong before on multiple occasions. So we'll see if this is one of those moments. The Fountain in the Sky, probably one of the least used cards we're going to get out of this entire deck, and that's talking about Arcana Force. When a light monster is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can remove that monster from play and gain life points equal to its attack. I mean, it works in the original Fairy deck that we used to see with Zolga and stuff, but Zolga's an Earth monster, so I don't know. Again, we might see something with it, but I don't see it being used that often. Divine Wrath is one of the best trap cards we got, and honestly, you could probably say it's the best trap card. It's a negate, it's a counter trap, and it's a destruction card. Like, it does so much and all by itself. Again, I don't see... This is a card that I could see going to 1. Like, if Offerings to Doomed is at 1, this is a card that I could definitely see going with Offerings. Like, it is that good of a card. All the staples we got, I think, are insane, are probably going to hit the list. I even feel that way about Cup of Ace. By Order of the Emperor is going to be the next one we talk about, and this is just, I think, good in general. When a monster effect is activated, that activates when a monster is normal summoned, so like a Monarch, you can negate the activation, then the player whose effect activation was negated, they draw 1, so you negate Monarch effects and then draw 1 off of it, which I think could be really good. Inverse Universe is going to be this weird little battle trick card that you might see come up in every, like, other game you play, but for the most part, you'll, like, never see it. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be like that relevant, but it's better than the Arcana traps that don't really do anything. Arcana Call is like select an Arcana Force monster you control, remove from place an Arcana monster until the end phase. The select monster's effect becomes a remove monster's effect with the same coin toss result that you did. It's not that great. And then Reversal of Fate is even worse. Select one Arcana Force monster you control. That monster's effect is now treated as the opposite coin toss effect. You're not going to play those cards. Again, you might if you're playing Arcana Force. I just know I'm not playing this deck. Now we're going to go into like Konami's baby of the deck. I think this deck is literally meant to be the best deck of the box. It's so crazy to know they didn't give us like the most integral card for the Fossil deck, being Fossil Fusion, and the deck is still incredibly powerful. I think like this is, again, is the best deck in the box. Just opening up and playing it. If you yourself are brand new to the box and you're watching this video and you're just like, man, I want to play Speed Duels. What deck should I play? This is the deck. Especially if you play Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you're going to recognize some of these cards if you do. Maybe not. If you play Duel Links, you definitely will recognize some of these cards. But the skill we have is literally the Fossil Fusion, but not the Fossil Fusion. It just says once per turn you can banish 1 card from your hand face down, then place 1 dig counter on this card, max 1. If a face-up Fossil Fusion monster you control is destroyed by card effect, you can place another dig counter on this card, but again, your max is 1. And then once per turn during your main phase, you can remove the dig counter from the skill to fusion summon a Fossil Fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing materials mentioned on it from any graveyard. This includes yours or your opponent's. So, it's insane. It's very good. I like this card a lot. It's exactly what we need without getting the fusion spell. Like, I mean, I wish we got the fusion spell, but I guess they were scared about what we could do with that with evil heroes, so whatever. The dig site inspection is going to be the bad skill, like I said, that we got before. It has this, like, it's generic, but I don't think it's any better than the other generic skill we said. Midterm, the Destructive Fate. I don't think it's better than Destructive Fate. Once per turn during your draw phase, before you draw, you can activate the top card of your deck and place it to the top or bottom of the deck. After you place the second card to the bottom of this deck with this skill, flip this card over. This works with, what is it called? Archfiend's Oath, I think is what it's called, being that you can just look at the top card of your deck every single turn, put it down, kind of like a Roma strategy, except you up to twice per turn, you can look at that top card and put it to the bottom of the deck. So at least once you get to do that before you lose your skill. I don't understand why they just were like, yeah, you can only do that twice. Maybe it's because they don't want to power creep a Roma strategy, but okay, I guess that's fine. The main deck itself is going to be Weathering Soldier being the #1 card. When this card is sent to the graveyard, either destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can search for any of your fossil cards or cards in general that just mention Fossil Fusion. The card you're usually searching off of this is going to be Time Stream, but it's just insane. It searches for Time Stream in this deck, it searches for Shell Knight, and I think it searches for Flint Cragger. Those are the cards you're going to be searching off that. The next card we want to talk about is Fossil Dyna. This card is really good in regular Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's going to be just as good in Speed Duels, especially in formats where we're going to be special summoning a lot. We're going to see a lot of stall decks but abusing the heck out of this card. Not only that, it is also going to be a Rat Box target, so we're going to be seeing it being used in Rat Box because that's making a big comeback like I mentioned earlier. So we're going to be seeing this card just make its, you know, debut in Speed Duel, and it's going to be kind of annoying. I don't know if we'll see it get hit because, you know, Speed Duels hates hitting stall cards, so it will likely be able to reign terror until the end of time. So It's here, it's strong, and I definitely recommend that you give it a shot. The next best card I want to talk about, it's a surprising one to put at third place. Honestly, we could put this here, but I did want to talk about Shell Knight. You're not going to be seeing Shell Knight played in the fossil decks that you're seeing online, but if you're opening up the box and trying to build it yourself, you're playing this is 3, this is 3, and this is 3. I'm just letting you know. Shell Knight is, and maybe this is 1. Shell Knight is really good because it has this ability that says if this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard by a card effect, or sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you add a 1 level 8 rock monster from your deck to your hand, or Fossil Fusion, blah blah blah. That won't ever happen. So what you do is you use this card to add the Gaia Plate, the Earth Giant, which is pretty good. If you don't know what this card is you can special summon this card by removing 2 of any rock type monsters from your graveyard. And then during your standby plays, you have to remove another rock type monster in your graveyard or send this card to the graveyard. But you get to have the attack and defense of any monster that battles with this card. This card is actually incredibly powerful. You're going to see a lot of different decks build around it. I actually played against a toolbox deck based around this card before. It is so cool. Flint Kragger is another really bad rock monster that we got, but I did want to put it here. Honestly, I could probably see myself putting Flint Kragger all the way down here. It's just you're not going to be playing it too much. Mega Rock Dragon's my favorite rock monster in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! So I was really hyped that we got it and really bummed that we didn't get it in secret. I love this card when it came in the Sphinx structure deck, starter deck, whatever it was as a kid, with Exod, the Master of the Guard. This card came in that deck and I was like, I love this card. But it's really cool to see it in Speed Duels. It's not really going to be doing too much outside of Rock Mill decks. I could see a deck based around this card and maybe Release from the Stone being really decent. I might honestly make a deck profile based around that just because I love this card so much, but I doubt it's going to be any good. It's definitely going to be a casual fun to play deck. But yeah, he's cool. Fossil Tusker is only here at this spot because it's an 1800 attack point monster and does bird damage. Medusa Worm is a swarm of scarabs. Again, Flint Kragger is not really going to do too much for you this format. Revival Golem is here as a 2100 defender. You're probably never going to utilize his ability. And then Big Tusk Mammoth is a bad monarch monster. The best spell card we got out of their deck is Mystical Space Typhoon. Honestly, when it comes to spell and trap staples and just good cards in general, this is the best deck. It has the most cards out of it, and it makes me really go, this is the deck they wanted you to play right out of the box. Mystical Space Typhoon is obviously the #1 card. Time Stream is your best card in the entire Fossil deck, being that it's not once per turn, and you get to upgrade your fusion monsters by upgrading their level by 2 by summoning them. It's insane. Not only that, but you can, during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card 1 Fossil Fusion monster from your graveyard, then target a Fossil Fusion monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So it's also a Monster Reborn. It's really good. Pot of Avarice, you're not going to be seeing this card have a lot of play in the format, but it's insane. Jar of Avarice does so much for the stall decks right now, and Speed Duels that we're still going to probably be playing that over Pot. Pot of Avarice will be seeing play at some point in the future, especially if we do end up getting another set after this. Sorry, Europe. So if we do get another set, and it's a synchro set, you will be seeing a lot of people utilize this card as part of their strategies because they can get all their materials back after going to their synchro plays and then drawing 2 additional cards. Refusion is really good in this deck because you can bring back your fusion summoned monsters, and then yeah, it's just for an 800 attack points. It's literally a premature burial for your fusion monsters. It's really good. Sakuretsu Armor, again, this is one of the best staples that we got. It's going to replace Widespread Ruin in some scenarios, but you also have to take in consideration that this card targets, Widespread doesn't. It's which evil are you choosing here? Do you want to choose the monster that you want to destroy, or do you want to non-targeting destroy the highest attack point monster of the field? It really does come down to that, but I do like Sakuretsu Armor more than Widespread, me personally. Again, Release from the Stone is going to be this really unique thing, different dimension reborn card that is going to probably work with Mega Rock Dragon, or in some scenarios Gaia Plate the Earth Giant. You'll probably see this card used in those decks. Spiritual Earth Art, Kirigani. I actually didn't think this card was that good, and then I read it, and then I was like, oh, this card's not bad in Speed Duels. You tribute an Earth monster, and then target one other level 4 lower Earth monster in your graveyard and special summon that Earth monster. So you just, summon really bad Earth monster, like Dandelion, and then you tribute the Dandelion, and then you summon the other Earth monster from your graveyard, and then you summon 2 fluff tokens, and then you token Sunday, and that's the Dandelion toolbox. Blasting Fuse, this card's going to come up in like sealed formats. I think this card is like really strong in that format in general. It's also just this like jank side deck card that you can see come up every so often, but for the most part, I don't think anybody's really going to play this. And then a Faint Plan is another like weird skill, like weird trap that's not really going to do anything at all in Speed Duels. It's literally just a filler card in the box. The fusion monsters are like worth talking about. Like Buggy is the one that nobody plays. You're not going to really want to play it for yourself. It doesn't really do too much. The reason why is because it has this effect that says like when this card destroys a monster by battle, you inflict 600 damage. You can banish this card from your graveyard and add one monster from your deck to your hand that mentions Fossil Fusion. That's about it. Like you banish him to add Withering Soldier. Like I'm not going to do that. The ones you're usually going playing is 2/2 and 2 of all this. Skullbone's insane. It has the ability to attack twice and also has the ability to banish it from the graveyard to search for your non-once per turn time stream. And then you have the Fossil Warrior Skull Knight, who has Piercing and has the ability to banish him from the graveyard to target one monster on the field and destroy it. And then you have your big boss monster being Skull Gios, which again, you're able to bring out the time stream that you were used on the Skullbone. And then all you do with this card is you can switch the current attack and defense of your opponent's monsters until the damage step. Then this card also has Piercing, and any battle damage it does when battling a monster is doubled. So this card is absolutely insane. It is an OTK enabler, and it is probably one of the best cards released in Speed Duel to date. It might honestly be our best boss monster in the format now that Azana is getting checked by Divine Wrath. So this in itself is just really strong. We're going to probably see a lot of different people try this deck out and, you know, succeed with it. Lastly, of course, I did want to go over the extras that we got in this format. I mean, it's just worth going over. Invitation to the Society is a skill that lets you turn White Veil here into a Snatch Steal. So all you do is you equip the White Veil onto an opponent's monster and you take control of it. White Veil has an effect that pretty much just says that you turn a monster into an Ancient Gear Golem type effect or Ancient Gear type effect. And then it also has the effect that when it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you take 3,000 damage. Not even destroyed. When it leaves your spell and trap card zone, you take 3,000 damage. The way you get around this, though, is through the Armed Dragon level 10 white. People are experimenting like heck with this card. It's kind of like the dad of our format, and it's really weird that I'm saying that about this card. So this card has the ability to banish itself from the graveyard to summon itself. You don't take effect damage while it's on the field. On summon, you search White Veil, which again is Snatch Steal in this format. And then on top of all that, when it declares an attack, you can destroy one card on the field. It is actually really good. Like, I was really surprised that we got this card and that it worked as well as it did. I was actually more surprised to learn that you could banish itself from the graveyard to summon itself. Obviously, you have to have one in hand, one in grave. So you banish the one in grave and then summon it from your hand. So that in itself is like really good. The other card I want to talk about is Cyberdark Scheme. I don't think this skill is any better than our original Cyberdark skill, but there are going to be two separate decks that people are going to be experimenting with this one and then playing the old one, and then you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff with it. Again, I do think the old skill is better than Scheme, but we'll still go over it anyway. Once per turn, you can activate this one of these skills. Return one face-up or face-down Cyberdark monster you control to the hand, and if you do immediately after the skill resolves, you can normal summon one Cyberdark monster. Once per duel, send one monster card in your spell and trap card zone equipped to a Cyberdark Fusion monster to the graveyard, then equip one monster your opponent controls to that monster. Cyberdark Fusion monsters gain attack equal to the original attack of the monster equipped by this skill. So you need to really, like, go heavy into trying to bring out your fusion monster there. And then not only that, I think that this part of the effect, although good, is no better than, hey, I get to search for any of my pieces every time I lose 1,000 life points. Like, I just think that, what is it, Forbidden Cyber Dark technique, something weird like that. The card that goes in tangent with this is going to be Cyber Dark Cannon. Cannon is insane for the deck, being that you just discard it from your hand and then search for any Cyber Dark card. And, like, that in itself is crazy. I love that about this effect. But if this card's in the graveyard while equipped to a monster, like, it's sent to the graveyard, you can draw one card. Like, what? That is so good. And then during the damage calculation, if a monster equipped with this card battles, you can send one monster, you can send one monster from your deck to the graveyard. So it's also foolish. You get to add a card from your hand, foolish card from your deck, and draw one card, all in one card effect. This card is crazy. It really does make the deck and make it worth playing. I think Cyberdarks has a real chance to be a top contending deck this format off of this one card alone. The last card I want to talk about is going to be the Moki Moki Madness cards and Moki Moki Adrift. So Madness just turns Moki Moki into like a real deck. It's honestly, I don't know why they made it a once per duel effect. This could have been a once per turn effect. The deck needed it to be a once per turn effect. But whatever, we live with what we get. If all monsters you control are Moki Moki, effect monsters cannot attack the turn that they are summoned. Cool, it's a weird little floodgate. Once per duel, if you control 2 or more fairy monsters, you can place 1 Moki Moki continuous spell from your deck face up in your spell and trap card zone. And if you do, destroy 1 monster you control. That's insane, because you just grab Smackdown, you destroy 1 of your fairy monsters, like the Fool, and then you get to make your Moki Moki 3,000 attack points to the end of the turn. Then you get the once per duel effect, discard 1 card, the fusion summon 1 Moki Moki King from your extra deck. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you that Moki Moki King was in here as well. Moki Moki King's not that good, but I can see why people are excited about it. Moki Moki is a fan favorite deck. For whatever reason, Bolowski is a fan favorite character, probably because he's a pothead. But I can see like the charm behind playing that. What's up, buddy? Sorry, my cat's meowing. And then lastly is going to be shouldering a Destiny. The only skill we got that had a cost to the activation, which I saw was really weird that we're still doing this. You draw 1 less card at the beginning of the duel, then during your main phase you activate this skill as continuous spell card. Like, it's not even like activated at the beginning of the duel, you just have 1 less card and then you're like, okay, I'll use this, I'll use it. It's bad, nobody's really going to play it. It was weird for them to go, hey, we're going to give you Destiny Hero cards and Aster cards, and then they just gave us a really bad skill for them. It says when this card is activated, you can add 1 Destiny Hero Plasma from your deck or graveyard to your hand. While you control Destiny Hero Plasma, apply the following effects. You cannot draw during your draw phase. Each Destiny Hero Plasma you control gains 100 attack for each monster in your graveyard and cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Also, it can make a second attack during each battle phase. The way you get around this is literally you just flip it face down. It's not good. I mean, some people are probably excited about it because some people probably like Plasma and some people probably like Heroes. The cost for me is the reason why I wouldn't want to play it. I don't think it's that good outside of that. All in all, I think that this box was a huge success. I think there was a lot of good secret rares, a lot of good staples and stuff that came into this. A lot of cool decks that came out of it too. I just wasn't really excited for it in general because of my own personal opinions about the Fossil Fusion not coming to the box. Also, I'm not a big fan of this version of the GX, like the season of GX. I thought it was really lame and bland, but that just goes to show that there was a lot of cool cards that could have came from this because like I said, we got a lot from this. And it's going to definitely shift the meta in a positive direction. It already is. We're seeing a lot of different decks come out of it. A lot of different creative decks come out of this. It's just bolstering creativity in the community again, getting people excited about Speed Duels, which is like the reason why I like Speed Duels in general is just because of the deck building that can go behind it. And this is that set that I think really does encourage deck building and encourages just being yourself, playing cards you like, and just coming up with like unique ideas. But if you guys enjoy this type of content, make sure you leave a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to see more, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.